Dear learners, we are going to learn about the HTML forms in this video. Forms are used to collect information from people who visit your website. Forms are defined by the form tag. It contains the opening and the closing tag. Once the user inputs all the information, they submit the form using the submit button that you create. The syntax of the form is given here, form tag, and inside which you can enter all the form elements followed by the closing tag. We will learn about the form attribute. So there are few attributes for form. The first one we are going to learn about is the action attribute. The action attribute defines the action to be performed when the form is submitted. Usually the form data is sent to a file on a server, and when the user clicks on the submit button, whatever the data is there, it will be sent to the form. Now, next thing, you can see the syntax for action. So form action is equal to the script page.php. This script page, it contains a scripting. So that will handle the form data. So it is in the server side. So that contains coding which will handle the data given in the form. Next, we will see about the method attribute. The method attribute specifies the HTTP method to be used when submitting the form data. So this attribute will decide how the data will be submitted to the server. So there are two methods we can use, get method or post. So when you use get method, the form data can be sent as URL variables. When you use post method, it will be sent as HTTP post transaction. The default HTTP method when submitting a form is the get method. So you can see the syntax here, form action is equal to the script page and method is equal to either you can use get or post. Now we can see the different form elements. So the first form element we are going to see is about the text box and then about the password, then hidden, radio button, checkbox, button, submit, reset, text area, select. So these are the different form elements which are contained in the HTML. The first one is the text box. So the text box is used to enter the fields like text or number or date or any data. So when you type input type is equal to text, so this tag will be used to display a text box. You can see here, this is how the text box will be displayed on your HTML window. Now the text box will use the following attributes. One is the type. The type of this input is text. The next thing is size. It will determine the size of the text box in characters. For example, if you want to type only 10 characters, you can give it as 10. Sometimes 20 or 15. Depends upon what size you are going to type in. Then max length. So this will determine the maximum number of characters that the text box will accept. So if you are giving max length as 5, then the text box will accept only 5 characters. Then name will determine the name of the text box, and value, it will determine the value which will be displayed on the text box when you type in. The next form element is the password. So you may need to enter password in registration forms and all. So you can use this input type equal to password element for creating a password text box. It will be similar to a text box, but the text will be displayed with like an asterisk. So whenever you type your password, it will be displayed with the asterisk symbol. So the password also has different attributes. One is the type, which you have to give it as password. Then size, which will determine the size of the text box in characters. Then the max length, it will determine the maximum acceptable number of characters in this text box. Then name, it is given to the name of the box. And value, it is usually blank because it will not store any password in the value. The next one of the type is hidden. So here actually nothing will be displayed on the browser. So when you give input type equal to hidden, nothing will be displayed. A blank area will be created on the form. Now next element is the checkbox. The checkbox will allow the user to select more than one option. So like hobbies, for example, if you have more than one hobby, you can use this checkbox. It will appear like a square box, and then when you click on it, a tick mark will appear inside the checkbox. That is, it will be checked. Then the attributes of the checkbox are given here. Type. In the type, you have to give it as checkbox. Checked. Checked means when you give the attribute checked, by default, the checkbox will be selected. You can have to deselect it whenever you want. The name is used to give the name for the checkbox, and value, it is usually set to a value, either checked or not checked. The next thing is the radio button. This is also called as option button. So input type equal to radio. If you give like this, circle will appear. So when you click on it, it will be selected. That is, it will be checked. A dot will appear in between, showing that it is checked. Then these are the attributes: type, checked, name, and value. So these are more or less similar to the previous elements. Here the type is equal to radio. The next thing is the text area. So in the text box, you can type only one single row. But in text area, you can type multiple lines. For example, when you want to type an address, you may need this text area. So the element given here is text area. This is the tag name. The name, you can give a name for the text area, and you have to specify the number of rows and columns. So you can see the number of rows and columns here. So this is how the text area will appear. So you can type in the address or feedback or anything like that using the text area. The next thing is the select element. So it just uses a drop down list. So by clicking on it, you can select different options. So you can give this select name equal to courses. So for example, if you want to select different courses, you can give it in the select box, and when you click on it, you can select whatever course you need it here. So the select, it contains the option tag inside. So each option will be enclosed inside this option tag. Then the next type of element is the submit. So input type equal to submit. So every form, it should contain a submit button. This is the element which causes the browser to send the names and values of other elements to the CGI application. So whenever you click on the submit button, the data whatever you submitted will be sent to the server side for scripting and analyzing. Now you can see the attributes associated with the submit. It is type, name, and value. So value, it determines the text label on the button. For example, in this you can see submit. That is the label. You can give login, log out, or anything according to your requirement. So the value is what appears on top of this button. The next one more type of button is there, that is called as the reset button. So when you give input type equal to reset, the browser will display a button like this. So here the reset will appear. So whenever you click on this, whatever data you have entered on the form will be cleared. So this is like a clear button. It will clear all the data you have entered in the form. Now we can see an example of forms. So this is just a registration form, and we have given name, gender. For name, I have included the text box. For gender, we are including radio button. Then for typing password, we have given input type is equal to password. Then for address, we have included text area with 10 rows and 50 columns. Then for hobbies, we have included checkboxes. So I've given 3 hobbies: dancing, singing, and painting. So next, for selecting the degree, I have given select options. So inside the option, you can see there are many datas available. Option BSc CS, option BSc Mathematics. So each and every option will be displayed once you click on that down arrow. Then next, after you select all the data, you have to submit. So you are giving here input type equal to submit, value is login. Then input type equal to reset, value is clear. So here we have not used any scripting. So whenever you give a form, you can specify where to submit the data. Here I have just given how to display and enter a form. Now when you run this program, this is the form which will be displayed. Now you can click on it and enter the name here. So you can see the name appearing, and then you can click on the gender. Then you can type the password. Can you see that it is displayed as dots? Then you can type the address. So multiple lines can be used when you type the address. So like the word, like you type in the word file, you can just hit enter and type how many ever lines you need it. So we have typed the address, and now you can click on the hobbies. You can select multiple hobbies also. So you see I have selected two. And the next thing is you can select the degree and click on login. So once you click on login, you can see that on the top here on the address bar, whatever data I have typed, it is sent to the server side. Now we can just click on some data and we can see how the clear button will be working. So I'm just typing the gender, then password, then I'm going to type some address, this new street. And now when I click on this clear button, let me select all these options. Now see, I'll click on the clear and you can see all the data I have entered is gone. So this is how it's work. Either you can submit or clear the data. Hope you understood how to create a simple form in HTML. There is a lot to learn about HTML forms because scripting and data validation and everything will be needed. We will see this in the next video. Thank you.